Hey, just a quick tip for you today with winterizing your lawn equipment. It's end of November and it's way too cold. The lawn hasn't grown for a couple of weeks now. So what I did is I just warmed this thing up for a couple of minutes just to get it going. And I took the tank, opened this up, and I dumped the remaining fuel into here. So there's a little bit left in there. It's 50-to-1 mix, so whatever is left over, I'm not going to save it. I can just dump it in my car. Just make sure you have like at least a half tank in your car. It's only 50-to-1. There's a tiny bit of oil in there, so it should be fine for your 4-stroke engines like that in small, very diluted quantities. Mixed with 10 gallons of gas, that's probably like 500-to-1, so it's not going to do any harm. So now that it's warmed up and drained, what we're going to do is we're going to start it up, and I'm going to run it, but I'm not going to gun the gas full throttle. I'm just going to run it lightly, maybe about quarter throttle, just until the fuel in the carburetor is completely drained out. And then, as a bonus, you can take the spark plug out and just put a tiny drop of oil in there, and just give this a couple of pulls after that if you want to lubricate the top. It's probably not a bad idea if it's going to be sitting for 6 months or more, just to make sure that nothing rusts. I don't want to rev it too much because it'll lean out the engine too much as it's starving itself for gas. So we just want to give it a little bit of gas. You hear it change pitch? That's running out of fuel. It's sucking more air than gas. You can hear it. I'm not going to give it too much more gas now, just a little bit. Now you heard when it started running at a higher pitch, higher throttle there, higher RPM, it was because it was leaning itself out, so it was more air than gas, and you don't want to rev it like crazy with a 2-stroke because it's not going to be lubricating it as much when it's running lean like that. So don't rev it to infinity when you have it running out of gas like that. So I just run it till it stops. A lot of people pull it a couple more times and try to run it stop, but really that's unnecessary. You've got 90% of the gas out of the carburetor already, so it's probably good to go. If you really want to be picky about it, you could unscrew the bowl right there, which is right on the bottom side, and just drain out whatever is in there and just catch something in a pan, whatever drips out, and then screw it back on, but I'm not going to bother with it. This is exactly the process I did last year, and the thing started up in 2 pulls, so I think we're good there. 4 strokes, you can do whatever you want. A lot of people like to drain it. I used to drain it, but I've got this fuel shutoff on this mower now, so what I do is I just put some fuel stabilizer into the tank. Now, I don't like to have it totally full. You can fill it up if you want, I guess. All personal preference, but as long as it's stabilized or totally drained, I guess it doesn't make much of a difference. So there's not a lot in there right now. What I'll do is I'll put a little bit of stabilizer in there mixed at the appropriate ratio using Sta-bil. Then I'll start it up, warm it up for a couple of minutes so it gets into the fuel lines and into the carburetor with that mix. And then what I'll do is I'll shut this fuel line into the off position and run it until the engine stops. So that way the fuel is drained out of the carburetor, which is where everything gets gummed up most of the time and where you have your problems. So as long as that is clear, you should have no problem starting it in the spring. As long as you remember to turn your fuel line back on, you'll be good to go. And then, yeah, just keep it clean and free of critters in the wintertime and you'll be good. The Sta-bil Marine 360. Now what I like about the Marine stuff is this helps with keeping moisture out of the tank and out of the gas. So this is good for not just boats and marine equipment, but also for lawn equipment or whatever you need for your engines that you keep in storage, because as we know, water will rust things and it's not good for combustion. So I add the recommended amount of Sta-bil Marine, and this stuff is better than the regular because the regular stuff has an expiration date on it. This does not. So the regular Sta-bil stuff that you get. That stuff's good for, I think, like 3 years, the bottle, before you have to replace the bottle. This stuff never goes bad, which is nice. It doesn't have anywhere on it that says must be replaced after so long. It tells you exactly the instructions here, how much to use in a gallon. Just run it long enough so that way it gets into the fuel line, into the carburetor, and then you can turn it off, and then all your fuel is stabilized and it won't go bad. This is good if you have ethanol in your gas, which most gas has ethanol in it now, unless you run ethanol-free premium, which I do. So if you run ethanol-free premium and the Sta-bil, all the better. It's going to be better for your engine and helps with starting up in the spring much better. So guys, that's all I had for today. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, hit subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Got any questions, leave them below. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Put it back.